Bilbo was now beginning to feel very uncomfortable. Whenever Smaug's roving eye, seeking for him in the shadows, flashed across him, he trembled, and an unaccountable desire seized hold of him to rush out and reveal himself and tell all the truth to Smaug. In fact, he was in grievous danger of becoming under the dragon's spell. But plucking up the courage, he spoke again. "You don't know everything, Smaug the Mighty," said he. "Not gold alone has brought us hither."
"Ha ha, you admit the us,"
laughed Smaug.
"Why not say us 14 and be done with it, Mr. Lucky Number? I am pleased to hear that you had other business in these parts, besides my gold. In that case you may, perhaps, not altogether waste your time. I do not know if it has occurred to you that even if you could steal the gold bit by bit, a matter of 100 years or so, you could not get it very far. Not much use on the mountainside, not much use in the forest. Bless me! Had you never thought of the catch? A 14th share, I suppose, or something like it. Those were the terms, eh? Well, what about delivery? What about cartage? What about armed guards and trolls?" Smaug laughed aloud. He had a wicked and a wily heart, and he knew his guesses were not far out, though he suspected that the lake men were at back of the plans, and that most of the plunder was mean to stop there in the town by the shore that in his young days had been called Isengard. You will hardly believe it, but poor Bilbo was really taken back. So far, all of his thoughts and energies had been concentrating on getting to the mountain and finding the entrance. He had never bothered to wonder how the treasure would be to. You would hardly believe it, but poor Bilbo was really taken back. So far, all of his thoughts and energies had been concentrating on getting to the mountain and finding the entrance. He had never bothered to wonder how the treasure would be removed, and certainly never how any part of it might fall into his share would be brought back all the way to the bag end under the hill. Now a nasty suspicion had began to grow in his mind. Had the dwarves forgotten this important part too? Or were they laughing in their sleeves at him all this time? Is that the effect that dragon talk has on the inexperienced? Bilbo, of course, ought to have been on his guard, but Smaug had a rather overwhelming personality. "I tell you," he said in an effort to remain loyal to his friends and to keep his end up, "that the gold is only an afterthought with us. We came over hill and under hill, by wave and by wind, for revenge. Surely, O Smaug, the unassembly wealthy, you must realize that your success has made you some bitter enemies." Then Smaug really did laugh, a devastating sound which shook Bilbo to the floor, and while far up in the tunnel the dwarfs huddled together and imagined that the hobbit had come to a sudden and nasty end. "Revenge?" he snorted, and the light of his eyes lit the hall from floor to ceiling like scarlet lightning. "Revenge? The king of the mountain is dead, and where is his kin that dare seek revenge? Brigam, Lord of Dale, is dead. I have eaten his people like wolf among sheep, and where are his sons that dare approach me? I kill where I wish, and none dare resist. I laid low the warriors of old, and their like is not in the world today. But then I was young and tender, and now I am old and strong, strong, strong. Thief in the shadows," he gloated. "My armor is tenfold shields, my teeth are swords, my claws spears, the shock of my tail a thunderbolt, my wings a hurricane, and my breath death." "I have always understood," said Bilbo in a frightened squeak, "that Dragons were soft underneath, especially in the region of the chest. But doubtly one so fortified would have has thought of that. The dragon's jaw shortened and pushed him. Your information is adequate, he snapped. I am armored above and below with iron scales and hard gems. No blade can pierce me. I might have guessed it, said Bilbo. There is none where to be found equal to Lord Smog the Impenetrable. What magnificence to possess a waistcoat of fine diamonds. Yes, it is a rare and wonderful indeed, said Smog, absurdly pleased. He did not know that the Hobbit had already caught a glimpse of his peculiar undercovering on his previous visit, and was itching for a closer view of the regions of his own. The dragon rolled over. Look, he said. What do you say to that? Dazzlingly, marvelous, perfect, flawless, staggering, exclaimed Bilbo aloud, but what he thought inside was, Old fool, why there is a large patch on the hollow of his left breast, as bare as a snail out of its shell. After he had seen that, Mr. Baggins' one idea was to get away. Well, I really must not detain your magnificence any longer, he said, or keep you from much-needed rest. Ponies take some catching, I believe, after a long start, and so do burglars, he added as a parrying shot, as he darted back and it was an unfortunate remark, for the dragon sprouted terrific flames after him, and fast though he sped up the slope, he had not gone nearly far enough to be comfortable before the ghastly head of Smog was thrust against the opening behind. Luckily, the whole head and jaws could not squeeze in, but the nostrils sent forth fire and vapor to pursue him, and he was nearly overcome, stumbling blindly on in pain and fear. He had been feeling rather pleased with his cleverness in his conversation with Smog, but his mistake at the end shook him to bitter sense. Never laugh at live dragons, Bilbo, you fool, he said to himself, and it became a favorite saying of his later, and passed into a proverb. You aren't nearly through this adventure just yet, he added, and that was pretty true as well.